straight. No, contact.
Hold the line.
5, 2, 3, 9. Yep, direct hit, keep firing. Hello and welcome to No Man's Land. I am Dark Leftovers. Here today we are joined with Razor. Say hello.
Hey guys.
And Avidus himself.
Hello,
Please say
comrade.
something. Okay. So, quickly, how's everyone doing today?
Great.
Yeah, all good.
Feeling slightly worse off now that we have the topics we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so we won't be talking for about like an hour and 30 and up, but at least today will be a little bit more structured and we'll try to do it from now.
Yeah, we'll try and keep it a little bit shorter for the guys that like to listen.
Well, with that being out of the way, let's just get right into the nitty-gritty. We're going to talk about, as an opener, the 0.18 update that is upcoming.
And it is a big one, to say the very least.
At least this first starter. The rest of it, I mean, we'll get to that, but it's like the first part, and we'll just talk about it now. The new content, the sniper rifle.
Oh god.
Give you a brief description on what it is. It's a scoped bolt-action rifle with very high accuracy and damage. It takes much longer to achieve its steady aim more than other small arms. So,
I mean, I'm not surprised that they put it in. It's just I didn't expect it right now. It's taken me off guard really. But hopefully they've found a way of balancing it and making it not OP as anything. But what I'm worried about is it's not the sniper rifle in its actual role, but what it will be used for in other roles. So like, if a sniper rifle, I assume, is going to do a lot more damage than a regular rifle when it achieves its aim. So if a sniper, like, we already have problems with people on top of mountains, they're particularly hard to dislodge for Logi drivers and stuff like that. And we talked in our last video about how stressful Logi already is. So now, instead of making Logi a little bit easier and a bit more secure and things like that, they've added another weapon that is going to
fuck them up.
yeah, very, very harmful to Logi. Like, I mean, I don't know how many bullets it's going to take to disable a truck, but I can't see it being more than a rifle. So if it's less than a rifle, and there's a guy with a sniper rifle at a prominent junction, then he's going to be able to disable truck after truck after truck with very little in the way of like knowing where this guy is or getting to his location or something like that. I understand, like, against infantry, the sniper rifle is a legitimate thing. You know, if I have a particular, I don't know, MG gunner or something like that that is causing my guys a lot of issue, then I can deploy a sniper to take him out, fair enough. But when I know for a certain fact that these sniper rifles are not going to be used on frontline combat as much as like we'd hope. Like they're going to be used, but I don't think they're going to be felt as much as they are in things like Logi lanes and stuff like that. Now I know at the moment they're only in skirmish, but I think, like, obviously they're running through them in a testing skirmish, which is fair enough. I get the sense that they're being very careful with balance and stuff with the sniper rifle, which they should be, by the way, because the sniper rifle has a tendency in all games to what's the word? Not spoil things, because it's a strong word to use, but make things a lot more
Complicated.
Yeah, skirmishy and things like that. Not like frontline combat like we're used to with, you know, two guys shooting at each other with a rifle from 25 meters away. Like, now it's going to be 100 meters away with a sniper rifle.
I mean, anything that can down you instantly without you knowing about it is ultimately bad. I mean, the only things that could probably much one-shot you are vehicles, uh, most grenades, and like even then, it's like you
Shotgun.
can see you have a shotgun when close on, but that goes where it's like you know where it's coming from. You see the guy, you see him with the
Yeah,
shotgun.
yeah,
You're gonna
yeah.
see him, and you're gonna know that fuck, like I'm basically good as dead. But you just walking around, and then sniper's been holding this one position because he got the bottleneck. As soon as you cross, he pops you, and then you're just on the floor. And by the way, I believe even in max range, it's still I believe a one shot down.
I mean, it wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't be a sniper rifle if it didn't do that. If it lost its damage over time like a rifle, then it just wouldn't be a sniper rifle. It'd just be like a pellet gun, like what rifles turn into after they get their max range. Like if you're at max range with a rifle, you might as well be shooting them with a BB gun because they're just not going to go down unless you have like 10 guys shooting them from that range.
And that's fair, and I feel like that's where I agree that it should be that powerful. And I mean, like I agree with you 100%. It wouldn't be a sniper rifle if it didn't down the person in one shot.
But what I think,
And it's the thing is like I'm just trying to justify like if you have a mate that goes down by a sniper, he's good as dead. There's no point of trying to revive anyone that gets shot by
Yeah.
a sniper.
and it's going to be an absolute nightmare trying to get that through medics' heads because if it's going to be hard to determine whether a guy's gone down a regular fire, especially if you're engaged with an enemy, say it's 10 on 10 or something like that, and you're fighting. It's hard for the medic to distinguish whether a guy's went down to sniper fire or a regular rifle. So when that guy goes over to heal the person that's been down by a sniper, the sniper takes him out as well. You know what I mean? It's just going to be the same as like grenades, where if someone goes down with a sniper, you just fucking leave them, because you can't do anything else.
So, where I think a step was skipped until like with this addition of the sniper rifle. Where was the discussion about like are we missing a sniper rifle in the game? Like in my opinion, shouldn't we add content like to like you have a hole right in combat, you have a hole and then you add this item to plug up that hole. I don't feel like the sniper rifle does this. I can generally say that we kind of don't need it, if you know what I mean.
I get what you mean, and it's like I feel like everything they add or something. I feel like in general, when you add something, it's to always fill in a certain role. And as of right now, the sniper rifle wasn't really like what role is it meant to fill in, and it wasn't really at a point in development where we kind of wanted a sniper rifle or don't need one.
I
Like
think.
you said earlier,
Yeah, go ahead.
like you said earlier, like so they did this amazing thing to make logic a little more easier, but then they release a weapon that pretty much it's like one step forward, three steps down now, because now
Yep.
it will be utilized to its best, and it can disable trucks in 2 to 3 shots. Max range is 3 shots,
Yeah.
but you could still have a nice squad of 3 people, and like the first burst, bam, give a truck is down, and it's the whole point that matters is when the truck is disabled, that's already like the supplies are already delayed at that point, and it's just
Yeah,
it's,
and
I
like
think-
sorry.
Go ahead, Reza.
Does it.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead, Reza.
like two of the scenarios I'm really worried about, as Dark was saying about Logi, and especially with this like newfound passion for a lot of people to climb everything in the game. Like
Wouldn't say that's newfound, but go ahead.
it wasn't a problem in the past so much. That's why I'm gonna say newfound, because like we had people trying to climb stuff forever in this game, but at least in the past probably it wasn't that easy, or I don't know, people didn't find so many ways. Anyway, back. I just want to stay on topic. Having people up on the like high mountains or hills in the game and using like sniper rifles to disable trucks is gonna be big nightmare. And then another like situation I'm very worried about You know how a lot of people now climb refineries and stuff like that in the game? Like if they manage to get up there with one or two or three sniper rifles, right? It's very hard to touch them up there, even with grenades and stuff like that. And what's to prevent them from just sniping everything around them?
Nothing at the moment. I mean, what I would like to have seen implemented instead of the sniper rifle, I think that one of the biggest things that Foxhole is guilty of at the moment is, as an infantryman, it's the survivability of combat obviously goes drastically downhill the longer the war lasts. So at the start of the war, you have a fairly good chance if you're operating with a squad, you're going around as a team, and you've got your rifles and stuff like that. Because the enemy team only has like basic things like rifles, they're not rushing you with tanks or anything. But later in the war, survivability goes downhill. So instead of something like the sniper rifle, what I would have liked to have seen is like later in the war perhaps an equipable body armor or something like that that gives you I don't know, like an extra shot before you go down. Like you can get shot by a shotgun once and then you have to get shot again to go down, for instance. So it gives you like, I don't know, double health or something, but it costs a lot to produce. I think something like that, implementing infantry survivability over like just something that like I don't want to sound but people tend to want sniper rifles in war games a lot, and it just, for me, it's not a great addition because you're going to have literally, you know, they're going to be like tanks. You know, people are going to want to use a sniper rifle all the time, and it's going to be one of those things that are highly sought after. And then before you know it, you're getting like, you know, 3/4 of your team running into combat with a sniper rifle, and sniper rifles aren't going to be good for every situation. So people, when people see rifles in a town hall and then they see that there's sniper rifles, of course they're going to take a sniper rifle. It's just a rifle with a scope on it. That's what they're going to think. So then they're going to charge into combat. You know, there might be 20 people. Let's give it a scenario: 20 people defending Iron's End, and there's colonials pushing up from Plaza. There's 20 wardens at Iron's End that are going to go down and try and combat them. Now, if there's 40 sniper rifles in the Iron's End town hall, but there's 100 rifles, obviously if those people have no sort of leadership, or they're what we call randoms, then they're obviously going to take the sniper rifle. Who wouldn't? It's the cooler option. So they're just all going to sit back and they're going to wait for the colonials to come up the hill, and then by the time they get up close and personal, there's nothing to deal with it because everybody has a sniper rifle and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like you said, especially about survivability, I was joking around with Dark, and I was telling him like it feels like I'm gonna spend more and more time in the, your dead screen, watching that counter go down.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many things that can kill you later in the game, and they're adding one more lethal one into it. It just feels sometimes it just feels like a grind fest. In those kind of games where you die and die and die and die and die.
Well, now that they've released a sniper rifle, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility for them to release anti-personnel mines, and that's like going to be one hell of a discussion when that happens. But going back to the things about the trucks, I think with sniper rifles, something that the devs badly need to consider with a sniper rifle is maybe cancelling out the damage for hard targets. So sniper rifles are exclusively used on soft targets like infantry, for instance, not trucks, not armored. Like no vehicle should be taken any amount of. No truck should go down to 3 shots from a rifle, 3 shots from a sniper rifle. It just shouldn't happen. So I think trucks' resistance to sniper rifles in particular should go down. If you want to disable a truck in an ambush or from a range, it should be with the proper tool, which is an anti-tank rifle. So what is the point in partisans taking an anti-tank rifle, apart from trying to take out an armored car? But you might as well do that with HEs. But
you can snipe the AC with the sniper rifle. It's like it pretty much has like armor piercing rounds at all times. And just pretty much I feel like it'll make the AT rifle more useless when you're trying to deal with armored cars. I mean, probably with half tracks, you're better off using AT, but dealing with armored cars and under, just get the sniper rifle because you can snipe it before it can even like react, or it'll just get out of the way if it doesn't
Yeah.
pay attention. I think the one issue is that trucks in general, they need to have their disable threshold lowered because it's like it's real pitiful. It's like 75 to 80%. It's disabled at that point of that damaging threshold. No fucking leeway. Just you go in, you get shot up a little bit. There's nothing you can do. Your truck is now disabled. The supplies you worked like 30 minutes for gone.
See, I'm a little bit worried about that, because yeah, that would be an answer. But like the way that things work on Foxhole at the moment, it's like everything shares the same damage threshold. So it like if a sniper rifle does like, I don't know, I'll just give it a random number, like 10 damage or something like that, yeah? It's going to do 10 damage to a truck. It's going to do 10 damage to an infantryman. It's obviously not going to do 10 damage to a tank, but like trucks are like sharing the same damage threshold as like infantry. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't be that way. It should be higher. But at the same time, like partisans behind enemy lines need the ability to stop trucks. It's a legitimate tactic in the game. It's one that we use. It's one that the colonials use. It's one that everybody should use because it's a large part of Foxhole being a partisan. And there's a lot of people that like doing it. And I wouldn't like to take that away from them because it's hard enough doing that job at the moment anyway. Like, so I think small arms like rifles, SMGs, and things like that, they should have the ability to stop trucks. Fair enough. But with the sniper rifle, it's a little bit different. It gets a little bit trolley with a sniper rifle. So like, when you can sit on top of a mountain, for instance, with a team of, I don't know, 3 guys with a sniper rifle, and there's a fob below you, and you know there's plenty of trucks around there, plenty of vehicles, armored cars, and stuff like that people have stockpiled. You need 10 minutes to destroy it all. You know what I mean? It's just in that scenario, I can see it being very, very stressful for people.
Oh Lord, just all the sniper talking is just, I don't know, like just going within. Like I don't. It's one of those things how we have to see it actually in combat, other than just the dev testing or the dev branches. You know,
Well, we should probably just go over what we actually know about the sniper rifle for the people that are listening. So I think it's got a magazine of about 5 or something like that, hasn't it?
yeah.
So it's
5
going to
bullets.
use it. It's going to use a different type of ammunition, obviously. I'm not sure where it's going to come on the tech tree. Hopefully, it's going to be later in the war. If it is later in the war, then I won't have as much of a problem with it. But if it's early on, then it's just going to be terrible. Like I say, it's only in skirmishes at the moment, but and obviously they're testing how it's going to go before they release it in World Conquest, which is very good. Hopefully, it'll be tweaked and balanced properly before it's released in the World Conquest, because it could have pretty dire consequences if it isn't.
Because you said we should mention what we know about it, it's important to say that it takes a very long time for it to stabilize and offer 100% accuracy, but once it gets there, it basically cannot miss. So it's important to know that you cannot just, fire it 5 times and get 5 kills. It's more of a waiting game, and also like if you're gonna move your target around, you're gonna lose that accuracy. So basically, following a target around that's running with your aim from the sniper rifle is not gonna be a doable tactic. So it's gonna be more against stationary, or if you would like you put your target in one place and then you wait for your target to get in that spot. You don't just track them, so to say.
I think, I mean, by the sounds of it, it sounds like it's going to be something that is going to be very popular in the war in which it comes out. So, like, during the skirmish phase of the next war, I can see that, like, literally both teams are just going to be running around with sniper rifles to test them out, obviously. But I think that people are going to find very, very quickly that they prefer rifles over sniper rifles, especially for like frontline combat and stuff like that. Partisans is a different kettle of fish, but in frontline combat, I think the rifle is going to be come back as a primary weapon, because I think the sniper rifle is just going to be too stressful to use. It's going to be somewhere along the lines of like, having to get into a good position, set it up, all that type of stuff, and then be very patient, like you said, for your targets,
Yeah.
rather than just, no, 360 no scope.
So one thing I wanna add, and I'm gonna probably finish on this note, is another worry I have regarding the people that build a lot, right? Our builders, which is a
Yeah.
kind of a, thankless job right now because of how things work with defenses and all. The problem is this sniper is gonna be probably most effective against them because they're basically just sitting there in the open, not moving, hammering away, and then you have this rifle just basically targeting them with no problem. So I just it feels like they're gonna have an even worse time doing their job, and it's gonna rage to a lot of rage quits probably because it's hard enough to get the materials to just sit there and watch as a countdown goes down of how many mats you need for one defense, and then repeat that all around the town, while also now enemies are gonna have snipers to try and kill you with them.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think we've been talking about the sniper rifle for a little bit
Yeah, it's time to move
long
on.
enough. Long enough. We need to move it on.
Okay, we
So-
can go to the Dead Harvest event, which is the zombie mode that they have upcoming. Not much information has been released on it. Only thing we really know is just for the first time ever, Warden and Colonials will be joining side by side. As disgusting as that sounds.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest with you. We could put them on outside of a house or something. We'll hold the inside. They can hold it for as long as possible before, obviously, the superior race has to defend the inside of the house after they've fallen. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't think it'll be a lasting truce.
No, for sure on that. And one thing that I also found interesting, and not to go back on the sniper rifle, but like they want to bring in the sniper rifle for also this event too. I'm just interested to see how this goes while they introduce that weapon along with the
I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip, guys. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip that I learned from Zombie Panic Source. Don't take a sniper rifle when fighting zombies. Not a good idea.
Need the fire rate rather than
Fire rate is key. So you want something like a shotgun, or you want like something that can deliver damage here and now, rather than have to set it up for.
Sounds like good advice to me.
Oh, it is. Trust me, dude. I'm an expert in killing zombies.
Well, so with that being said, there isn't really much information. I mean, they'll release more information as the month goes on. But as far as that, we have some key gameplay features and changes. Areas you want to take it over?
Well, I think we got to talk a little about this last one when I said that they're gonna make it so basically your squad mates are gonna be able to pick up your orders from a factory or from a mine.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Apparently there's 3 mods you have to choose from. It's like private, which is like exactly how it is right now. You're the only one who can pick up your orders. Then there's squad, what we were talking about last time, when anybody from your squad can do it. And then there's team. So when your order is up, it automatically is available for anyone in your team to pick up without waiting I think it's 40 minutes. Don't quote me on that right now, until your order becomes public.
I mean, that's good for people that are on their own without a clan, which is absolutely excellent. That they want to contribute to the team. If they want to put in, for instance, I don't know, 1,000 sulfur into a refinery and just leave it because they have to go to work, for instance, or something like that, but they still want to contribute to the team, they can set it to public, and that sulfur will be eventually used by somebody in the Warden team or the Colonial team. And I think that's a brilliant addition. Yeah, a really good. So there's 3 choices, which is something that they badly need.
Yeah, this is totally something I think a lot of Logi players were looking forward to for a long time. Because like I'm thinking in our case, and like there's a lot of people that, like you said, have to go to work or cannot be online at the time of the operation we're gonna have later today. But they would still want to contribute when they can play in that day. They would still
Yeah,
want to offer us materials or supplies, and this makes it all possible. And I think it's one of the best changes overall we've seen recently, if you know what I mean.
I mean, it's going to be a huge boon for us because when you clan, our clan's pretty big, so we have people in it from all over the world. We have people like, just to name one, Gent. Gent, literally has deprived himself of sleep in the past to provide 82DK with the materials that we need to do operations and stuff like that. And now with that guy can go and get some sleep, knowing that his materials are ready for us to use while he's asleep, which
Yeah.
is that's brilliant.
Also, I think we should just quickly pass through the home base rule change, which basically means if you enter a map, right, and you take over a fort, and then when you take over a proper town, instead of having your like home base on that map at the fort you first took over, it moves to a town, which
That's
is
brilliant.
again, yeah, very
I
very
mean that.
useful.
That's just something that it should have been in the game from the start. I'm glad they've been implemented now. It's just a quality of life thing, really, isn't it? It's just something that the people that are just logging on don't have to spawn a million miles away at a fort in the middle of nowhere. You know, like towers can be used to benefit teams as well, like the opposing team, for instance. So if, for instance, an enemy's home spawn star is at a tower, it's very, very easy for the opposing team to capture that tower without destroying it, and keep the new spawns under control within that area. So I think it's very, very good that that it also means that Logi don't have to supply these towers that are just in the middle of nowhere. They can supply towns, and the new spawns can actually arm themselves with something, ready to defend the town rather than having to run across open country. Like, when you're pushing into a region, obviously the first thing you take is a tower. I mean, so they're all along the region borders, and that is their purpose. So you take the tower, but then when you take the town, obviously it doesn't transfer at the moment. So it's very, very hard to move, especially then if the defenders come and surround the town, for instance. It's very, very hard to get people from the tower into the town. So I think with that change, it's going to improve things dramatically for invading forces.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna change a lot of it's gonna take a lot of strain, especially off Logi, as you said, because like they don't need to worry about this like remote location. Most of the time they're hard to reach, or it's perilous to go there because of partisans and stuff like that. So
Yep.
very good change. Now finally back to game balance, where we have the shotgun being nerfed.
Yeah,
Hallelujah for that.
we talked about the shotgun earlier on, and over the past couple of days when I've been playing Foxhole, there's been a couple of times, like ever since we had the last conversation in the last video about the shotgun, like I've started taking notice of the shotgun a lot more when I'm killed by it, especially from a range, because it is ridiculous. I mean, obviously you don't get one shot at a range, but I mean like
The
Damage has
stagger.
been done first
like
shot and already slowed
it's
down.
just, I mean, it's just at the moment it's so overpowered that it's not fun to play against at all. There's not a great deal you can do about it as well. If a guy is 20 meters away from you with a shotgun, he's got just as good a chance of killing you with a rifle. You know what I mean? Like if you have a rifle against a shotgun from 20 meters away, and at night that is pretty much max distance. You know what I mean? So when you're running at someone with a shotgun from a range, he's just got as good a chance of killing you as you have of him, even with you with the range weapon. And at the moment, that's not good enough. I think the 10% range decrease is a little bit. It should have been 20 or 25 in my opinion, because 10% is a little bit much, like a little bit too little. Sorry. Um, the weight increase for the shotgun, however, is a big thing. I mean, increasing its weight by 100% means that people that are just running and gunning with shotguns are going to be slower. They're going to be easier to hit. So that's a real good thing.
On the pistols, I know we talked the last time as well. Um, so basically removing some of that, actually adding penalty stability when moving with them. So running and gunning is gonna be harder to do. That's
So
also,
the army of John Wicks is going to be stemmed. Thank you.
yeah.
No more just like, oh, it's enemy, whip it out, bang, bang, bang. You know,
Then I would like to this is gonna be really useful, especially for builders, because we already gave them some bad news with that sniper. Garrison supplies are now produced in crates, and the quantity per order was increased by 100%.
it's about
So
double, right?
yeah, so basically it's gonna be easier to ship them, and they're gonna be a lot more. So now builders can actually maintain their defenses easier.
I
That's
mean,
good.
it was. I mean, it's good. I'm happy to see that they've increased it and they made it into crates. But as like I would say, like it was. How do I say? You were back then. You were only limited by the amount of defenses you placed. So if you placed like a good chunk, or if you're fair with your defenses, which in all respect is probably not enough. Like there's probably you can never have enough defenses, and now this will just increase more proper defenses, so that way when things use the garrison supplies, you can actually have something well fortified while you have this huge stockpile of G supplies in there. While like back then it was like you could only have like a hundred defenses in this area without like worrying about like, oh, no matter what I produce, it's still going to go down. So at least here it'll be happy to see more defenses being put out.
What I would like to see is a topic that I want to bring up real quickly now that we're on garrison supplies, and night capping is becoming a huge issue for people, because what it seems to me, I don't know about anybody else, but it seems to me that like one half of the planet plays colonial and the other half of the planet plays warden, because during our daytime we seem to make a lot of progress, and then we log off for the night, and when we wake up in the morning it's all gone again. And I think that's down to like one side is getting a massive tech bonus over the other, now that like tech's been removed as a like a faction balance thing. And I think something that they could use instead of that is, for instance, if a team, if an entire side, say the Colonials, if they didn't have a lot of people on, or not enough people to actively defend, then the health of defenses might go up.
Yeah, I actually think it's a good idea. Something not related to tech would
Something
work
would
better.
help out with whatever side like at any point the game has a low population. Something should be in effect to help that low team, because I mean in the end, I mean it's something that they can't change. People play when they can, and for someone it's always nighttime. It's always nighttime for someone in the world. So it's like, consistently there's going to be night capping happening, and just give or take, nothing we can really change. It's just something that needs to be adapted and pretty much worked and dealt with. We can't stop people from night capping. It's like that's, for us, we calling it night capping. For them, they're just playing on any normal day. Like they're playing on our time. Like for them, when we attack during the day, it's nighttime for them. So technically, we're night capping them. So with the whole topic going all around, it's just the proper way to how to deal with the a faction that has an imbalance, and like properly handling it, because currently it's just bad. Like the game and how it tries to handle with the lower side. Again, we'll probably be talking more with that later on, but just know it's like,
I
it
mean,
is not balanced at all.
I think this is a great segue on something that we need to talk about very briefly. AT turrets, like their strength is just ridiculous at the moment. Like as soon as tanks get released, AT turrets are just like practically like they're not a threat anymore. Not like they used to be. You know, as soon as people have discovered that AT turrets can be two-shot by tanks, like you know, all you need is a tank crew that like half knows what they're doing. Yeah, half knows what they're doing, and they can, you know, they can easily get through AT turrets. AT turrets are no longer a deterrent to mechanized forces.
Even better if you have like an infantry with RPG to be put one RPG in the AT and then the tank can just take it out with one shot, and it's just a breeze. It's not even a problem anymore. Makes it really really easy. So yeah, I can agree that the AT turrets is laughable right now. Even in like, you know, I have seen people trying to spam them in an effort to change something, but even spammed, they still don't deter too much because, like you said, if you have tank crew that knows what it's doing, and especially if you have two tanks, so you can double tap one, at a time, then it's just a breeze to get rid of them.
Or I think might work a lot better is if they increased the AT turrets armat requirement. Increase the AT turrets armat requirement to, I don't know, 120 or something like that. Make them like quite an expensive building, but give them like double HP, for instance. So double shotting with tanks is no longer like. I know I'm going to be shooting myself in the foot by saying this as a tank commander, but like at the moment, like there's very very little that deters me from attacking an AT turret. You know, it's something that like it should be handled by the proper forces for it. So something to take out an AT turret is an infantry squad. You know, the tank clears out foxholes around the AT turret, and then the infantry squad moves in to take out the AT turret. That's how it should be. That's how things are supposed to work, really. But they aren't, because vehicles can easily just cut through them.
Also, I think it's fair to say the range is a little like vehicles can get so close to it without it firing. It's unreal, and it feels to me. Recently, I only see AT turrets firing when there's like new people in tanks and they don't know how they work. That's A, or B, when like the placement is really creative, like behind the corner somewhere, and then I love those moments, but it's pretty rare.
I always remember there was one time, a little story, where we'd built 3 AT turrets behind a gate, and these 3 tanks rolled up to this gate and started obviously gunning it down. We just dropped the gate, and these 3 AT turrets just went to town and killed all 3 tanks. So, but yeah, I mean, unless you're getting creative with AT turrets, they can't really do a great deal at the moment. I mean, something that could be an idea, and I think it is going to be a great idea. So when we eventually get, I don't know, heavier armor or something like that, if they released a heavier form of the AT turret, would like an up, or even if they just made the AT turret upgradable, like a foxhole to a gun nest, but perhaps if they just added some sandbags all over the gun as you upgraded it or something like that, with more armats or something, could be a great addition.
Yeah, sounds like something that could really. I really like the idea of upgrading it basically to maybe upgrade, like you said, maybe upgrade its HP, maybe upgrade its range a little bit, right? Make it a little more challenging.
Yep.
The last point I feel is mentionable in the game balance category is a big decrease in the number of upgrade parts needed to upgrade like fobs and town halls. It's basically a 50% decrease. So you're gonna be able to, for example, upgrade a level a tier 1 fob to a level 2 fob with only 25 upgrade parts?
Mm. I mean, it always seems like they're trying to play catch up for the tunnel system, because they really don't. They obviously don't want the tunnel system in the game, but at the same time that they're trying to make defenses more buildable. I'm not sure what they're trying to do, because like when they took tunnel systems out before, it was fob spam. Now they've taken tunnel systems out again, it's fob spam. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure where they're really going with this, trying to make fobs like a bigger builder area or something like that. Fair enough, but I mean, you just got to get fob spam again. You know, it doesn't matter which way you play it. You might as well have tunnel systems, because as someone attacking a fob, I would much rather have a tunnel system in place, because attacking a tunnel system is actually a lot more vulnerable than a fob, because with a fob, you know that like there's defenses around it and stuff like that. With tunnel systems, they tend to be placed out around a line of defenses, so you can take out a couple of defenses, take out the tunnel system, that cuts off the entire line. You know, that's something that people have to think about. That's why fobs are placed along the line of tunnel systems. I heavily disagree with tunnel systems being taken out of the game. What I think might have been an idea is perhaps limiting the number of tunnel systems that a fob can sustain. So, for instance, 3 tunnel systems per fob. Level 2, 5 tunnel systems. Level 3, 8, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think that is the way to go, rather than just trying to get. Because when you have fob spam, it's bad enough with all the level 1 fobs at the moment. But as soon as you increase this sort of like, needing hardly anything to upgrade it to a level 2, you're going to make these fobs like a lot harder to take down. And then it's already harder when you're on the back foot in the war, and you're in your home regions. It's already hard enough to push out through all of the fobs that have been built in the other regions, while you haven't been controlling them. So if you take the level 1 fobs that are relatively easy to take out and replace them with level 2, which are obviously going to be a lot more common with the new update, it's going to make pushing out of regions a hell of a lot harder, and consuming a lot more shells, because an invasion isn't measured really by death or anything like that, like player death. It's measured by fuel consumption, shell consumption, and things like that later in the war. Like if your artillery gun runs out of shells, the attack's over. If your tank runs out of shells, it's pulled back off the front line and out of the fight. You know what I mean? So it's the more shells that you're using to take down targets, like the less effective your invasion's going to be, basically. So with the increased health and the increased shell consumption that we're going to be having with level 2 fobs, it's going to make things a hell of a lot harder to invade. And I think at the moment they need to be made easier rather than harder.
I can counteract, and as someone that really does artillery for their life, them getting rid of tunnels and replacing it with fobs, it just pretty much now I can see what is powering the defenses, and I can just pop it easily. And it's like every just going one fob to another, and it's like, get it down. And then they try to bring a CV in, the CV is going down with it, and it's like it makes artillery's job so much easier. Because remember, like tunnels, you couldn't see it, and you couldn't like you didn't know where they're at.
Yeah.
And back then it's like, okay, you had to really look for the main thing powering it, which would mainly be a fob or the town hall, and just get it, snipe it, and keep it down. But at least here, like, it's just me. I feel like I have to disagree, and I do like that they got rid of. I don't like that they pretty much brought back fob spam, but I feel like how they handled it currently is pretty good for what they're trying to achieve. But it's like, mainly because it's from my department, it's fucking great.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was about to say that, because I understand what you're saying, because tunnel systems have a very low profile, so they're very hard to spot behind walls and stuff like that. But like, obviously playing infantry, playing a tank, for me, being able to see tunnel systems as I'm assaulting a place, it's obviously a lot, it's worse for me attacking somewhere now, because if For instance, I'm attacking a town. If the town is level 3, it has a ridiculous range on defenses. So the only way to disable the defenses is to take out the town hall. Obviously, when I don't have an artillery gun with me, that's impossible. So I have to actually go through every single defense before I get to the town hall to destroy it. So obviously, with tanks and infantry, tunnel systems were a lot easier to assault the town with. Now, I don't want to diminish the importance of artillery, because I know that I think it's very important, artillery, especially in late game war. But like before you get the artillery gun, you're relying on things like mortars, and if the enemy defenses are further out than 65 meters, you're fucked. You know what I mean? You can't get into the town. You have to like slog you into town through all of these massive defenses that the colonials or wardens have built or whatever, before you even get to your target. And by then, defenders are in the town, and it's a hell of a lot harder to take it. So, early game war, I think tunnel systems would obviously be a lot better, because you'd be able to cut off large sections of a city's or a town's defense network by taking out a single tunnel system, allowing your troops to push into that sector and make progress through the town, through that cut off defense line. But later in the war, I can understand that artillery taking out town halls is not a big deal, because it's very it's hard for defenders to get defenses around all, like a circle of defenses 150 meters away around the town hall. Or it's very easy for attackers to take out a couple of foxholes and get the artillery gun at range that way. And I can understand that tunnel systems in that circumstance, are negligible. But earlier in the war, it's very hard to push into well-defended areas. That's why when the colonials take salt farms and they just build a citadel's worth of defenses around it's hardly ever taken, because you need 3 or 4 artillery guns to take out a citadel like that. You can't just attack it with mortars or anything like that. Like early war, that's why it's so hard for wardens to dislodge the colonials from salt farms, because they just make it into an absolute castle.
So another important thing here, I think this is more an effect towards. I know they were discussing about the choice between going down the tech tree and investing your tech in other stuff that can give you advantages. I feel that this change is more towards that, because for example, the tier 3 fob costs 50 upgrade parts. So with a total of 75 upgrade parts, now you can have a tier 3 fob, which mid-game is almost indestructible if you think about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is, yeah.
so I think that's gonna be something interesting to look for. It's
So you don't need to unlock fobs anymore through the tech tree.
no, I guess no. That still goes, but I know they're tier 3 fobs are before Arty, right? If I remember correctly, there.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So until Arty, if you invest in a tier 3 fob, it's kind of a secure position.
It just goes with that talks about the whole topic of the tech tree and how they think that people will play it, and in reality it's not, and it will never happen the way that everyone thinks, or the way the devs think it's going to be pitched out, where you can invest and try to do production rather than going to the tech tree. But in the end, if you can produce more guns, it doesn't stop on the fact that the enemy has tanks. It's
I think what in my opinion, I'm not sure if this is going to be a popular opinion, but what the devs really need to do is stop developing the game and play the game for a month. If they do that, then they will see the problems rather than just looking at what people are saying overall, because people are only going to give their own biased opinions, even myself, you know what I mean? So I think
us included, mostly everyone's a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna flat out say it, and even me, everyone here, and I can say it humbly, we're all fucking idiots. And if anyone needs to know how the game needs to be run, it needs to be the developers, and they need to actually play their game and actually see what are actual issues. If they spend a good time playing logistics, I'm pretty sure they could come up with a good answer, like what's the main issue, instead of just thinking like based off what some people are saying, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because we're here and it's very, very tied to this, like general, what you're gonna do? You're gonna go down the tech tree. Are you gonna invest your stuff in fobs apparently now, or facilities and such? I think we should talk real quick about the unbalance that this creates. Because I know this was pointed as a thing of balance, but it starts to look like more of an unbalance in my opinion. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you guys are aware of, or how much are you aware, but when you're outnumbered vastly, you get for one tech part, two research parts or upgrade parts. So what you could do right now with this system is stock up on a huge amount of tech parts, right? Stock it up for a long period of time with your entire group, and then just wait for an unbalance or create one, right? If you can get everybody in your faction to create it, it's not really hard, especially if clans
No.
collaborate. Just talk to everybody to not log in this day. Nobody
Yeah.
goes in the game, and then you create this surge. The enemy gets overpopulates you a lot, and you get the bonus, and then you put all that all the tech parts you have basically hoarded, you put them in the refineries then through a few people, and you get basically double everything. And you find yourself in a situation where in a couple of hours you go down the tech tree like 2 technologies or 3, right?
And you might find yourself in a situation like, I think it's going to be hard for us not to talk about the situation that we've been going through over the last couple of days, where Colonials got tanks, I think,
Yeah,
2 days
exactly.
before we did. And it was just ridiculous. Like, it was absolutely relentless, because someone, like, to be that far ahead of another side, we played Foxhole for long enough to know that that type of thing is very, very, very rare, to say the least. I think it's, to my knowledge, it's happened maybe once before, and it was nowhere near the length of time that the Colonials had tanks over us. I mean, they had tanks over us for 2 days. I've never seen a side not have tanks to, like, I think the longest that I've known is that when we got tanks, I think about 4 hours or 4 or 5 hours before Colonials did. And we did a lot of damage then, when
It's very important, and I need to point out that like 2 days ago or something before this started, exactly what I described earlier happened, and the Wardens outnumbered the Colonials vastly. Now, I'm not saying this was made by design by the Colonials. I'm just saying it is a possibility. You could even design it if you want, right? So it's a
we all
system
know
that
it was by design.
it's a system that it's designed to balance things around and like to give the underdogs an advantage, but it can be
Manipulated.
exploited even by the faction that is actually, let's say, it's doing better in the war, and then they just collectively say, well, let's just not play one day, and then we can put all our tech in that day, and we're gonna go even more ahead, right?
Yeah. I think tech needs to be, they need to I think they're going to rebalance tech. They've got to, because like at the moment it's just a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, I think it's something that's going to be handled in time. Tech, they've obviously made changes to it, and they've been seeing how it's been going over the past few weeks. I think they will make changes to it again. Like the manipulating stuff like that needs to be taken out of the game, because it will eventually spoil the game in a big way.
One thing I would like to propose, something, I don't know if you guys want to think about this idea, but I feel like unbalance could be like the tech unbalance could be worked with based on how many towns you have, and the smaller town, like the faction that has the underpopulation obviously is going to have the least amount of towns, and the least amount of towns you have, the more faster you get your research, or even the more towns you own, the more your research rate is going to be slowed down.
Yeah, that's a
So, like,
brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea.
That because I feel like that would even encourage, like, what's the point of us trying to overextend? Because
Exactly.
now we can
Yeah.
give the enemy the time to come back, and because something that's completely doesn't have to relate it on the amount of people, because no matter what, that will dictate the war. No matter what, like, that will dictate, like, if people have a little bit amount of sides, or one side has 20 people, the other side has 50, that will already dictate who's gonna win.
Yep.
But based on the map in each town hall, and the sides with the overpopulation is going to overextend, it can just be more of a penalty than a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds way better than what we have right now, in
Yeah,
my
it does.
opinion.
Right, guys. I think we've been talking for long enough.
I think it's like, what, almost 10 minutes than last. It's a little bit
Really. Wow. Get carried
I
on.
mean, sometimes
Didn't
you just
even
can't,
we
you
didn't
can't
even
notice.
we didn't even cover my topic. We'll cover Navy next time, though, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be first thing on the list. You can put
Right.
it first thing.
Right, guys. Remember, cookie grenades.
Oh,
That's our saying, by the way. That's our catchphrase now.
Dark has a recipe. You just hit him up in
oh,
Discord
I
and
cook a mean grenade, my dude. Like, I woke up this morning, just logged in, and just pulled one from the fridge, and just like, okay, just pulled the pin,
Crack that
put
shit
it on,
open.
put it on a nice little skillet, put it on medium to high, saute it with some colonial tears, and then soon enough, it'll just blast, and you'll have a good time.
perfect.
Lightly marinated with colonial tears.
Ah,
Yeah, well, hope you've enjoyed it, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Cookie.
see you
Have a
guys.
good one.